Can you imagine Red Bull off the podium and Verstappen not winning another race this year? Well, that's exactly what's happening, and the worst part is, the crisis is just beginning. What's happening inside Red Bull that has caused its most dramatic decline in years? Stay until the end, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In this video, we're going to break down the reasons behind Red Bull's collapse in 2025, how this is affecting Max Verstappen, and whether his stay at the team is really in danger. Red Bull hasn't just lost races in 2025, it's lost control of a narrative it seemed written to dominate for years. What until recently was the most feared team on the grid has become the focus of questions, internal doubts, and constant speculation. The decline has been more abrupt than anyone imagined. In a matter of months, they went from setting the pace at every Grand Prix to fighting to stay within the top 5. This collapse hasn't been the result of a single mistake or a single accident. It's the result of a series of accumulated failures that have left the team without clear answers and with a car that simply isn't up to par with its rivals. In the Constructors' Championship standings, Red Bull has dropped to 4th place with a gap of more than 160 points over the new leader, McLaren. That difference isn't symbolic. It's a statement that reflects how far the RB21 has fallen from the expected performance. The RB21, the single-seater designed for the season, is one of the main culprits of this debacle. It's not just a car that isn't performing at its best, but a concept that has become trapped in a restrictive philosophy. Its performance window is so narrow that any slight deviation in track conditions, temperature, or minimal settings transforms the car into an unpredictable machine. Max Verstappen, the most visible face of this crisis, summed it up bluntly. After a disappointing 9th place in Hungary, the Dutchman bluntly declared that we're simply not where we want to be, and that he doesn't think they'll win another race in 2025 if everything remains the same. This lack of performance is also evident in technical details that aren't as visible to the casual spectator but have a direct impact on every lap. The car suffers from brake thermal management, tire overheating, and instability that prevents a reliable setup. Most worrying is that this lack of performance doesn't seem to have an immediate solution. At this point in the championship, teams that haven't found a clear technical direction begin to redirect resources toward the following season. When a team like Red Bull shows clear signs of weakness, the inevitable happens. Rumors begin to multiply. And in 2025, those rumors haven't just affected the team surroundings, they've directly targeted the biggest name in its recent history, Max Verstappen. The decline in on-track performance has unleashed a storm of speculation in the paddock, in the specialized media, and among the most attentive fans. It's no longer a question of whether the team can make up ground this season, but rather whether Verstappen wants to remain part of Red Bull in the coming years when the structure seems to have lost its way. What makes the rumors carry more weight than usual is not only the team's current context, but Verstappen's attitude toward them. So far, his responses have been cautious but revealing. He has said on several occasions that his sole focus is on the RB21's performance, that he doesn't think about other scenarios, and that his commitment is to the people who work alongside him. But when someone repeatedly says they're not thinking about leaving, it's usually because the possibility has already crossed their mind. Even more so when they've been visibly upset in technical meetings, in post-race statements, and especially when they've started to blurt out little phrases like, "There's no point in getting angry if it doesn't make the car faster." These kinds of comments, in Formula One parlance, usually mark the beginning of an emotional distancing from the project. The team has avoided committing to a timeline for specific improvements, and although the link with Ford for 2026 is being talked about as a strong commitment, there doesn't seem to be a unified direction or a strong message from the technical leadership. This, for a driver like Max, accustomed to having everything under control, can be more frustrating than the results themselves. Christian Horner's departure was more than an administrative blow. It was a political and emotional earthquake within the team structure. Horner had been the face of Red Bull for 20 years, the anchor in times of storm and the silent architect of many of its victories. His abrupt dismissal, amid internal tensions and disagreements with Helmut Marko, unleashed a chain of instability that still hasn't stopped. The arrival of Laurent Mekies as his replacement represented a complete change in style, less confrontational, more conciliatory, with a vision of gradual reconstruction. but also with less immediate authority in an environment that requires strong leadership and quick decisions. Max Verstappen has not been immune to all this. His reaction has been, on the surface, that of a focused, serene driver committed to the team. But behind that professional facade, signs of wear and tear are perceptible. The Dutchman has been clear. There are no magic solutions, the car isn't performing, and expectations are rock bottom. In Hungary, his frustration was evident. He finished 9th, steered clear of the media, and avoided any emotionally charged comments. His words were precise and harsh. Nothing worked. Most significantly, despite rumors linking him to other teams, Verstappen continues to avoid any kind of statement that would directly distance him from Red Bull. He has insisted that his only priority is improving the RB21 and working with the people he still trusts within the team. But that narrative has an expiration date. Because if the results don't change, and if the technical structure continues to show cracks, the talk of absolute commitment slowly transforms into an uncomfortable silence that leaves the door open to other interpretations. Red Bull, for its part, has tried to maintain the image of a united team. Laurent Mekies has said that the road will be long, that a miracle solution can't be expected, and that his focus is on restoring internal cohesion. But the problem isn't just technical. It's cultural. The loss of figures like Adrian Newey and Jonathan Wheatley has left a void of experience and technical authority that can't be filled overnight. What used to be quick and effective decisions now become internal discussions, contradictory diagnoses, and last-minute adjustments that rarely yield results. The team's official position is one of patience, but in Formula One, patience has a very short limit when you're used to winning. And Max Verstappen is no ordinary driver. He's not a rookie waiting for his chance. All of this leads us to an inevitable point. If the situation doesn't improve, if the car continues to fail, and if the team fails to stabilize technically and emotionally, Verstappen could be closer to closing a cycle than many imagine. What happens in the coming months will not only define the conclusion of the 2025 season for Red Bull, it could also lay the foundation for the new era of Formula One starting in 2026. Every technical decision, every internal movement, every public statement will become a clue, a sign that fans, journalists, and rivals will read carefully to try to decipher what's really going on behind the scenes. Because this isn't just any team going through a rough patch. This is Red Bull, and any misstep can have consequences that last for years. On a technical level, expectations are moderate. Red Bull has quietly begun working on adapting its car for the remainder of the year, but it is also allocating a significant portion of its resources to developing the 2026 project in collaboration with Ford. This technical partnership is a long-term commitment, promising innovation, independence in the power unit, and a renewed vision of the winning car concept. But until that promise materializes, the truth is that the RB21 remains the weak point that must be addressed if they want to maintain a degree of competitiveness this season. The updates scheduled for the final third of the championship are, in theory, partial, minor aerodynamic tweaks, modifications to thermal management, and specific work on the car's behavior in qualifying. No major overhauls are planned, and that says a lot. Red Bull is accepting, even if it doesn't say so openly, that this won't be their year. The total focus on winning has given way to a logic of containment, minimizing damage, preventing Verstappen from becoming emotionally distant, and preparing the conditions for a competitive comeback in the next major regulatory cycle. Regarding the team structure, Laurent Mekies has the difficult task of stabilizing a team affected by pressure, uncertainty, and recent hierarchical changes. His style, much calmer and more dialogue-oriented than that of his predecessor, could be positive in the medium term. But right now, the team needs leadership that combines firmness with clear technical direction. Mekies has said he's not looking for miracles, that this is a rebuild that will take time, and that his main objective is to restore internal order. However, time in Formula One is a resource as valuable as it is scarce. Results don't wait, and neither will the fans. As for Verstappen, what's expected is a quiet evolution. There will be no big announcements or abrupt decisions. His immediate focus will continue to be improving what he has at hand. But behind closed doors, everything will depend on the feelings he accumulates over the remainder of the year. If the car shows minimal signs of improvement, if the team regains some stability, and if the project with Ford begins to look like a serious commitment, then it's possible he'll decide to stay and lead this new phase. But if the feeling is one of stagnation, improvisation, or a lack of vision, his departure will become almost inevitable. What began as an irregular season for Red Bull has ended up uncovered as a deep, structural, and multifactorial crisis. It's no longer just a matter of an unresponsive car, or 1 or 2 races without a podium. We're facing a team that has lost control of its narrative, its technical direction, and its internal stability, all at the same time. The RB21 represents more than a flawed car. It is the symbol of a cycle that seems exhausted. Its design, conceived for a very narrow operating window, has exposed the limitations of a philosophy that no longer adapts to the changing pace of Formula One. What was once an unbeatable car is now temperamental, difficult to tune, unstable in races, and outperformed by better balanced rivals. This deterioration in performance has been the starting point for a chain reaction affecting all levels of the team. Added to this is an unprecedented internal collapse. The departure of key figures such as Adrian Newey, Jonathan Wheatley, and Christian Horner has left a void that cannot be filled solely by new appointments. The loss of leadership, technical vision, and experience has left Red Bull trapped in conflicting decisions, inaccurate diagnoses, and a lack of clear direction. Laurent Mekies is patiently trying to rebuild, but in this sport, time isn't measured in years. It's measured in tenths of a second. Now I want to know what you think. Do you think Max Verstappen should stay at Red Bull and lead the rebuild? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.